And I'm back with a continuation of building the game that we started working on last week. So I did say that this was going to be a 24-hour build. However, I'm a pretty busy guy because I do have a company to run in Tokyo and I've got like family stuff. So during the weekends, I don't really have like so much time to actually invest in like completing a game right now. That's something I'm trying to fix this year by going full-time game development. So, even though it's going to be technically it's going to take about 24 hours to build these games, or probably even less time, I might have to kind of split these up when I actually have time to do them. So, don't worry about that. So, we're going to continue with building this little short game. I'm not going to be able to stay on this one too long because actually I have a lunch meeting. So it's like 12 o'clock in Tokyo, and my meeting's at 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna do this for about like maybe 30 minutes and then get ready to go because it is kind of a business meeting. All right, so last time we built this little mini game. And For those of you who don't know, I am a game developer living in Tokyo. I used to do iOS game development, but now I've recently switched over to Unity. So, this is one of the games that I've built. This is Fuwa's Gambit. So, for those of you who are interested in playing some of the games that my company has built, you can go to my itch.io page, which is creativemediavault.itch.io, and you can play some of the games that I've actually created on here. This one is a cute little strategy game, where you can move around and attack the other team, and it's actually two-player. Um, and if you like these games, the current game that I'm working on is actually called CDULO The Outer Rim. It is this one. And this will be my first commercial game that I'm planning to launch on, via Kickstarter on Steam. So I am creating a Kickstarter page for that right now, and you can actually see my Steam page that I'm still working on over here. But if you'd like to know more about the game, just stop by my website, creativemv.com, and you can check out this game and play a small demo of this game, as well as check out some of the other games that I've got that I've already completed or some that I'm already working on. This is Quest of the Gummy Witch, which is actually a prequel to Fuwa's Gambit. Okay, I'm sorry about that. That is my my work mail. Right? And so you can like stop by and play these games on itch.io for free. And if you really like these games and these characters, then please like support my game development by going to my Nerdy Urges online store, where you can actually find some really cool original products and t-shirts, coffee mugs, and stuff that I make based on the games that are on my itch.io page. So yeah, you can like check out. I have hoodies, I have coffee mugs, I've got T-shirts, I've got all kinds of stuff, beach towels of my characters. Yeah, so stop by, check those out, and like if you like them, go ahead and buy some and support me on support my game development, and you can also support me on Patreon as well. All right, so back to this game that we're working on. So we have a simple game dynamic right now where we have a player that moves by what the hell was that? Moves by click, and the player can pick up coins. This player has no attack ability at the moment, right? And we have this red enemy here that is trying to shoot the player at the moment, but he can't reach me, haha. And so right now we can kind of move around this. And we also have, yes, this little spinning thing in the middle of the room that will kill the player. So this is an obstacle that the player can bump into. I did create a game over a screen, when you guys weren't watching or when I would have logged in at some point. So I'll show you how I did that. So two of the things that I fixed in the previous game, one was the enemy. So before, we had it to where the enemy could only damage the player by shooting a projectile at him. But our player was able to actually run through this enemy because we hadn't given the enemy a rigid body and we hadn't given him anything, for the player to interact with. So, even though the player could take damage by being shot, the player could run through the enemy like a ghost and he wouldn't take any damage. So, I did fix that offline. So, in order to do that, I went to the enemy and I went to I gave the enemy a rigid body 2D. Of course, with the gravity scale turned off, and I gave the enemy a box collider 2D. Now, if you'll notice, if I only give the enemy a box collider 2D, and I set this to trigger, then the player will be able to run through this enemy. So what I had to do, I had to go to the chasing enemy script, which you can see right. Where's my chasing enemy script? Oh, there we go. And I had to create this line of code. This line of code is for the player to interact with the enemy. So, when the player runs through the enemy, he'll trigger, he'll hit that trigger, and if the trigger's name, if the I guess the object entering the trigger's name is player, then we go to the player controller and the player takes the amount of damage that the enemy is dealing, right? However, that in itself created a problem. So, like for example, let me go ahead and turn this off and show you. So as it stands right now, I've completely disabled this other little box. You notice that the enemy can kind of just run through walls and everything, right? And the player did take some damage from the enemy. So, like, the enemy just runs through walls and goes directly for the player. Now, his projectiles don't do anything, but the player can run from him. But when he interacts with the enemy, you'll notice he'll die. Boom, right? He dies, but he can still run physically through the enemy. And that's not what we want at this time. So, in order to fix that, in order to keep the enemy from being a ghost, what I had to do is I had to add another object to the below this enemy as a child of the enemy, and what I added is a sprite renderer and just another square. And I'm going to set this to true. And not only did I add this other square, with this square I added another box collider 2D. And so this box collider 2D is not set to trigger. And that's actually what the player is bumping into right now. So we have an enemy with two box colliders. The outer box collider is set to trigger, and that allows the enemy to detect when the player has contacted him, but it doesn't physically stop the player. Then we have this other box collider, which is attached to the other object, that is actually the physical body of the enemy, and that's what the player is bumping into. So now if I press play, yay, hello. Right, so how many minutes do I got? I got 20 minutes. All right, so now you'll notice that the enemy is actually bumping into walls, so he can't pass through walls. And if I run around this guy, he can still shoot at me, so he can damage me with bullets. And I can actually hit him and push him kind of out of the way, but I'm still taking damage when I run into him. So that's kind of what we want. What we don't want, though, is, depending on the type of game, I may not necessarily want this enemy to, be able to rotate whenever my player bumps into him. So I'm going to quickly fix that by going into the enemy script and going to his rigid body 2D and his constraints. Now, actually, I'll do that on this other one, because you'll notice that this one right here is set to trigger. So even if I, try to keep him from rotating, I'm not sure if that's going to work. So. Sorry for the loud noise. Actually, I think I have my speakers on too. So, alright. So let's try this again. Oh, don't die, don't die, don't die. Don't die yet. You die when I tell you to die. Alright, so. Alright, there we go. So you'll notice that this time when the player bumped into the enemy body did not rotate. So that's a good thing to keep in mind if you want to, especially if you're doing like a 2D platformer game or something like that, and you don't want enemies or players to kind of rotate when they fall off of something. All right. So now that we've got that set up, another thing that I did was to create this game over screen. So I'll show you how I quickly did that. The game over is really simple. I just created an empty game object with a panel right here, and so I've got a panel, which is kind of like this black thing that you're seeing right now, and then I've got an image, which is just an image of this text. And what I did is I added a restart level. So I added a restart level script, which we'll quickly take a look at right here. Very, very simple script. so I didn't need to add any like variables or anything like that. I've just got update, input, key down, key card O, key code R, and like I had to use the Unity scene management, so I had to make sure I included this, otherwise nothing would happen. And then I just typed in scene manager dot load scene manager get active, and that's pretty easy. That's all we needed. So now when the player presses R after he's like dead, it'll just restart the same scene. And by default, I have this set to off. So in the player script, so I've got my player script down. Where's my player script? Yeah, in my player script, I do have it have that game over set to false. So I created a variable up here. Level reset panel, and I have this set to false at the moment. And then, up on start, and then after the player takes damage, if his health is below like 0, or basically if he's dead, then this sets to true, and that's it just pops up on the screen so we can see it and press R. All right, so back to our game. So what are we going to do today? We're basically going to be adding a few, maybe like a little transition scene, I think. So what I'm going to do is right now I only have like one scene in here. So I'm going to add a transitions panel. I'm checking my mail right now. Give me a second. So I'm adding a transitions panel. All right, so I'm going to go to UI. Do I want to add another one? Yeah, I'm going to go to adding a transition panel right now. So I'll go to, or maybe I'll need to add a canvas. Yeah, I think I'll add this as a new canvas, actually. Yeah, I'll add this as a new canvas. So I'll go here, UI, canvas, and then I'll just name this one transitions. Canvas. So you can have like multiple canvases on the screen. And then under this canvas, I'm going to add a panel. So I'll go to UI, panel, right? And this will be my transition panel. Okay, so I've got this and I've got this. So for this UI transitions panel, I think I'm going to change the background to black at the moment, and go ahead and increase the opacity. Right, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to create a fade in, fade out kind of thing. So because this is going to be a fade in, fade out, I'm going to need an animation. So I'll go to transition panel, and I will actually add an animation to this. So when I click on the transition panel, you'll notice it has like this create. I'm going to click create for animation, and right now I've got my animations folder. So I'm going to create a new folder for transitions. Transition panel maybe. Right, and for this one, I'm going to need two animations. I'm going to need like a start animation, maybe a start animation, and then an end animation. I don't think I'm going to need an idle one, but let's see, start animation. So I'll do start, and then maybe I will need idle. And then I will definitely need an end animation. So I'm creating 3 new animations at the moment. Right. Okay, end. Right, so I've got start, idle, end. So for start, basically I'm going to just kind of fade this in. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to go down here to the Animator, which is the window I'm in at the moment. And then I'm going to hit this button here. So our transition panel right now, the color is set to complete black. In order to create a simple animation transition, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to basically take the opacity down to 0. Right, and that's going to be our start. So when I hit play here, it should go from like black to, yeah. All right, so pretty easy, right? And I can stop this animation. And then for end, I'm gonna go to the end animation. Well, actually, that was the end animation. Sorry, so I should reverse this. So hold on, I was talking too much. All right, so let's go back to this one, and I'm gonna make sure that this one has opacity set all the way down because this is the end animation, and this one will have the opacity set all the way up, and that will be our fade to black, right? All right, good, good, good. So now I've got to go to the start animation. And the start animation will have the opposite. So I'm going to hit this record button, and it's starting off black. I'm going to go all the way to 1, and I'm going to just change this to 0 down here. All right, cool. So let's play, yay. All right, there we go. So that's our start. Our idle animation, for our idle animation, I think this is just going to be set completely down to 0 because we do want the player to be able to see this shit, right? All right, so yeah, nothing special there. All right, so now in order to get this animation to play, we're going to have to like write a little bit of code, but we're also going to have to play with the animator. So I'm going to go here, and this is my animation panel. And if you'll notice, this animation, the entry goes automatically goes to start. So I kind of like it like that. So I just wanted to start, whenever the player enters the new scene, I wanted to start like this. And it's going to start from a black panel, and then it's automatically going to, like, you know, brighten up so that we can see the game. So for this one, I'm not really going to do too much. However, I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to make a transition. And this will automatically transition to idle. So I don't necessarily need any like parameters or anything like that, any like booleans or whatnot, because I want this to start and then automatically go to idle where we can see the game. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to clear this has exit time and clear this fixed duration right now because we won't need those. All right, and then I'm going to create another transition from idle to end. All right, so for this idle to end, I am going to need one, one kind of parameter. So I'm going to type in trigger, right? And this will be an end, end type of. I'm just going to name it end, right? So now from idle to end, we are going to like actually trigger this in code. So I'll click on this one here. And again, I'm gonna like probably click off exit time fixed duration. I'll explain those later. And for this, I'm going to use the conditions. So I'm gonna click this plus symbol, and right now we only have like one parameter, so like we don't have many options. So it's just gonna say end, right? And then for here, I think I'm gonna go. Yeah. So I think that should be it. Yeah. Now, one thing that we are going to do is, now that we've got our parameters set up, is we're going to go back to this transition panel here, and we're going to click on the animator, right? So this is the animator right here. So we're going to click on the animator, and you'll notice that we have these things right here. So we've got like a start. Now we're going to click off the looping because we don't want this to like loop all the way. And for idle, we're not going to want that one looping. And for end also, we're not going to want this one looping as well. All right, so let's kind of test this out very quickly. So as soon as the scene starts, it should start off from black and then like, okay, go to light, right? And that's kind of what we're looking for. So this is the like entry scene transition. All right, but there's a problem. You see, we only have like one scene in our game. So before we can transition to another scene, well, first we have to kind of create another scene. So now what I'm going to do here is I am going to set this to off at the moment. Right, so I'm going to turn the transition transition canvas off at the moment so that we can see the game. However, and I'm going to save the game. Now, we need to create another scene, so we're going to quickly do that. So I'm going to go to my scenes folder, and if you'll notice, we only have like one scene in here. So from here, I can go to File, New Scene, or I can just hit like Command N, and I'm going to create a new scene. And this scene, I'm going to hit Control S, and I'm going to save it under Scenes. And I'm going to save this one as Main Menu. So I could just save it as Menu, but I'm going to save it as Main Menu right now. Alright, so this creates another scene for us to actually transition to. The scene is boring as hell because there's like nothing on here. So we're going to quickly create a few elements to kind of stick within this scene to kind of make it a little bit, well, at least a little bit interesting. So right now we have nothing. I'm going to go up here, and for any kind of like scenes or menus or something like that, you're going to want to use the UI elements. So I'm going to go to UI canvas, right? And I'm just going to make a new UI canvas. And here, mainly the only thing that I'm really going to change here is right now it's got canvas screen space overlay. That's going to be fine. You want to use the UI scale mode though. You want to change that. So change it to scale with screen size. And here, I can like change the screen size to match my resolution. So mine is 1024 by 600, so I'm going to use that. Okay, and that's our canvas. But you'll notice we still have like nothing here. So if I click on my canvas and I hit F, well, yay, we have a big a big square of nothing. So to change this, I'm going to, I can like right click on canvas and I go to UI. And I'm going to create just an image right now. So I'll create an image over here, and I'm going to, now this image can be anything that I want it to be, but right now, since we haven't like really given the player any shape or any like form or anything like that, I'm just going to change it to a basic circle. And on my M1 Mac, I noticed that happens a lot. Like I'll click on something and then it'll click off of it for me, like, and I have to reselect. So I'm just going to change it to this to kind of mirror the player. And you'll notice that this is align center. Well, I might want that, or I might want to kind of, I might want to set it to where when the screen size changes on different devices, then I always kind of want this in the same place. So I'm going to hold Option, and I'm going to right click, I'm going to left click on this, sorry. And when I do that, I'm going to select center here, right? Because I do want this kind of centered out. So that means that no matter which screen size I'm on, this should always stay in the center. Oh, and we're having an earthquake in Japan. We just had a tsunami in Japan the other day, so we're having quite a few natural disasters at the beginning of this year. Give me a second. My my light just turned off. Sorry about that, guys. Like, you know, don't know what happened there. Yeah, it's still kind of shaking here. Alright, so with that, I can actually hit W and move the player representation object over here and maybe scale him up a little bit. Alright, and this is what our mini screen kind of looks like right now. But that's kind of a boring mini screen. So what I'll do is I will click here and I will, or sorry, right click on canvas and I will go to add a button. Right, so I'll add a button here. And I might name this one, but I'll name this one Play. Right, and again, I want to be able to make sure that you know, no matter which screen size this is on, it kind of scales proportionately. So I will hit again, and I will make sure that this time I think I'm going to line it over on this side, and I will click it and drag it over here. And you'll notice that, you know, if I zoom into this play button, well, it doesn't necessarily say play at the moment. So that can be confusing. So we're going to go to the display button. Has like kind of two objects associated with it. So this is the top of the button where we can kind of identify the color of the button, and stuff like that. And also the text, we have the text object here. So I'm going to play around with the text object by clicking on that. And you can kind of change the font. I don't really have so many fonts in this project though. So I might just change it to bold. Yeah. And I might even change the size to like 20 or something like that. And to change the color, I'm going to go to this color option here. And I will, actually this is a white button, so I'll just like make this something like this for now. Yeah, just so I can kind of tell what it is and what it does. So yeah, so this is our first ugly button. Yeah. And now that I have this button here, I am going to like attach something to it later, but for the moment, this should be good enough. And yeah, I'm gonna save the scene because we just need something to kind of transition to. And I'm going to go back to my sample scene. So now we have something to transition to, and I'm gonna have to get ready to go for my meeting in a little bit. But now that we have something to kind of transition to, we can actually start writing some code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this transition panel again, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add a component. And this component that I'm adding is going to be a new script, and that new script will look something like this. So it's going to be a I'll just name it scene transitions. Kind of cold in my room. Checking my mail again, sorry. Alright, so I got my scene transitions, and I'm going to open this up. Alright, and let's see. The first thing I'm going to need is, because I'm going to need to transition from one scene to another, I am going to need to add another Unity space up here. So this will be using Unity engine, and that will be scene management. So adding this space will allow me to like jump from scene to scene. Not having this space means that like I can't transition to anything basically. Alright, so make sure that you always add that. And then let's see, what else am I going to need? I'm going to need to add a animation thing, an animator. So I'll go into public animator transition anim. Yeah, checking my notes here. So that'll be the animator for the transition that I'm getting ready to make. And then I will need a public float for delay. Otherwise, whenever I transition, this is just immediately going to jump in. It's immediately going to switch scenes. So, that won't give us any time to actually, like, kind of see what's going on. It's just going, boom, you're in a new scene, haha. So, alright, so I'll put, like, allows a bit of a time delay before transitioning to a new scene. Alright, transition animation. Transition anim is play the selected transition animation. Alright, there we go. And now, let's see, in the start panel, I'm going to have to define something. So I'm going to have to define this transition anim. So this transition anim will equal get component. And the type of component that it's going to equal will be animator. And whenever you're doing this, make sure that you add these, like, what are they? I've been in Japan so long, I'm losing my English. So these are... bracket? They're not brackets. There's something else. Okay, I'll think of what that English word is in a little bit. All right. And then here, so this will let me kind of identify the animator. So it'll let me put the animator in. So identify the animator associated with this game object. Because I'm going to have a lot of animators. There's not just one in the screen. There's going to be a player animator, an enemy animator. So I have to like be able to tell the code which animator it points to. With this game object. Alright, and then update will be, let's see, it's private update. This will be, I'll need to create a load scene. So maybe I won't need an update. So, yeah, I don't think I'll need an update function for this one. So I'll go to private void load scene. Alright. Yeah, so I'll just create this one. And this will take in a parameter of string. So, because the string will be for the scene name. I'll go ahead and type that in. So, so scene name. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way is because right now, if I don't add this, then basically I can change scenes based on the index that's in the build settings. But say for that normally goes by like a number, or at the moment I have the option to kind of reload the current scene. But say I want to jump to another scene that has a specific name, because I can have like hundreds and hundreds of scenes or hundreds and hundreds of levels, right? So if I'm just going by like numbers, or if I, in the build index, if I switch one of the scenes, then the build index number might change. So instead of going by numbers, I like to go by scene name. Because, well, yeah, it's easier for me to remember. So we're going to like make it to where we can actually name the scene that we want to go to. Just to like cut down on confusion later when we have like hundreds of scenes. Like, what level was that? Okay, level 115. We can just type in the name level 115, regardless of where it's placed in the build index. All right. So let's see. We got this. Now, in order to, right now I can like type in some code that'll like hold on, that will transition. Yeah, I can type in some code that'll allow instant transition, but because we want that delay, I'm going to have to use what's called a coroutine. And sorry that is so loud. Let me go ahead and turn this speaker off. I usually keep my phone on speaker because like I'm usually typing something when clients call, so I'll need to stop this, turn this off. Otherwise, it's going to blow your eardrums out. So let me go ahead and disconnect. And I'm normally listening to music while I'm working anyway. All right, so what were they? Yeah, I've got to start getting ready for my meeting. That's my guy mailing me now. All right, so like I was saying, if I, right now, as it stands, if I just add the transition code in here, it's going to instantly transition to the next scene. Well, I don't want that because I want to have a bit of a time delay. So in order to use a time delay, I'm going to have to use Enumerator. And don't ask me what that is. I honestly, like, I just know that it allows you to, like, set time periods. So I'm going to type in transition, and then this will also be like a string dot scene name, right? So Enumerator string scene name. I am doing that correctly. And I enumerate transition. Come on. String. Oh, I put in string dot scene name. Right. Yeah, there we go. I'm still kind of getting an error here. Why? Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can figure this out. Alright, so anyway, let's try this. Transition animation dot. And remember in Unity, we set this guy over here. So on the transition panel, we have our start, idle, and end. And in our Animator panel, we have this end trigger. Well, that's what we're going to call here. So I'm going to go to transition.anim, and then I'm going to do what's called a set trigger, and I'm going to type in my parentheses. That's what these are called. My parentheses, and I'm going to type in end right here. All right, and then in order to make implement the time delay, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to type in yield, not peeled, yield, and then I'm going to type in return. Damn it, I cannot type today. Return new, and then this will allow me to type wait for seconds. Right, wait for a second, and then I'm going to type in delay. And this will allow me to kind of set the time delay that I'm going to need. So if you'll notice, the delay is a variable that we called up here. It's a float. So I can like set, like, maybe I wanted to wait 4.5 seconds, instead of just one. So right, so this will give us our delay time, and then from here I can type in my scene manager dot load scene, and then we'll pass in the scene name, right? Okay, so yeah, so now we've kind of got this up here, but we've got this transition, we've got our enumerator, all set up. But if you'll notice, this transition is still kind of grayed out, and so is the load scene. Well, the reason why this is kind of grayed out at the moment is because this enumerator is grayed out at the moment because we haven't called it anywhere. So basically, if we run the code, it's not going to do anything. Get that D off of here. All right, so in the private void, we're going to need to do what's called a start coroutine. And the only coroutine that we have available is transitions. So transitions. Is that transitions or yeah, transition? Damn it. Start coroutine transition. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to transition, and I need a parenthesis here and scene name. All right, and that will call this coroutine, so that will actually activate it. Now, let's see. We have public void load scene. Load scene hasn't really been called anywhere, but yeah, that should be all that we need at the moment. Okay, so let us give this a try. Okay, actually, I'm gonna have to go ahead and cut this one short because it's like 12:35, and my meeting is gonna start in a little bit, and I'm still wearing my bedclothes, so or wearing my clothes that I put on after training. So we'll come back to this once I get back from my meeting, because it should be pretty easy. But we'll go to the I'll reopen this up, and we'll go to the transition panel right here. And right now we have our transition animation. So our transition animation is will be for our transition panel. All right, because that's where the animation is attached. And then our delay, will set a delay of maybe 1.5. That's generally the one that I tend to set for, right? So that's our scene transitions. And then, so right now if I play, not really too much exciting stuff is going to happen because I haven't set, anywhere for this to, I haven't really set anything for this transition to right now. So right now the start and the idle animations are the only two that are really playing. So we'll come back and I'll show you how to actually transition between scenes after I get back from my meeting. All right, so I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope you're learning a lot. I mean, I'm mainly kind of doing this for my own study, because in order to speed up my programming and understanding of how things work. But if you like this and you want to, and you're enjoying it, and you're and you're kind of studying Unity, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to check out my online store and my itch.io page, and my website, just to see kind of the game that